now is our panel. Staying on as a consultant. I always love that gambit. That's always a good one.
That's the political exit in this town.
Alencia, the White House originally said the ballroom would be 90,000 square feet with a seated capacity of 650 people, putting a cost of $200 million. That obviously has expanded in every way. The square footage, the people. It's now at least $300 million. I'm sure there's going to be more. Although we should note, paid for by private donors. What's your reaction to this latest news?
I mean, it's just, it goes back to my reaction in general about this whole project and, like, the hypocrisy here, knowing that as a Democrat, had Obama or Biden done this, Republicans would have been outraged, but no one's really saying anything about this. The other piece, too, I was doing a little digging. This is not surprising that this is stalled or there's a change in, the people working on this. Donald Trump has been known to start projects and not finish them, right? These big, massive projects. And so it's really unfortunate that this structure, this huge piece of our nation's history has been demolished, and now he's over here playing, chess and rearranging the chairs for folks. But the reality is, where is actually the protocol in which this was supposed to have gone through in order for this to happen? And where are the Republicans holding him accountable?
What do you think?
I'm shocked to learn there's hypocrisy here in Washington, D.C. I think that the vast majority of Americans are more focused on the cost of living and prices. And I think as much as the media and Democrats want to focus on the story, I don't think that's where the vast majority of voters are.
But, Mark, I would argue that's exactly the problem here.
Right.
Because I have always wanted to use the word tchotchkes on TV. And when I've spoken to people about the ballroom project, the first thing they say is they don't like the style, they don't like the taste. Maybe the White House needed a ballroom, but they don't like the Oval Office full of its tchotchkes and gold, the way the demolition was done. And to your point, people are worried about affordability. This looks like let them eat.
That's fair. The
design
is a contrast. I think that's fair, but I don't think that what's happened as far as a ballroom or what they do with an architect is really.
But I think it's a symbol. It's a symbol of this administration not focused on the priorities of the American people.
President Trump does seem very, very involved in this.
He cares more about this than lowering the prices for the American people.
I'm not going to defend it, but I also think it's a symbol. A lot of American people want him to come to bulldoze Washington, D.C. And so, yes, it's a symbol in a lot of ways.
And replace it with a giant ballroom?
I just think their focus is going to be on what it's going to be a cost of living.
I don't disagree, but I take Jamie's point. It's like the Gatsby party that they had.
Right.
Let's turn to another subject. The New York Times says it's suing the Pentagon over these restrictive press access rules. I want to play what the Pentagon press secretary told conservative influencer Cam Higbee about why the Pentagon clamped down on journalistic access.
They just waltzed in my office, rang my doorbell, literally nonstop. My doorbell was going off probably every single second because they were just trying to come in, trying to hang out, would push their way in. If someone else came in for a meeting, would just follow them along and plop down and sit down. So they definitely had zero boundaries. And like you said, there were instances where they were hanging outside of the secretary's office, trying to see who he was meeting with, if they could eavesdrop and hear anything.
I mean, what the actual F? That sounds like journalists reporting.
Yeah. Number one, I covered the Pentagon a long time ago when dinosaurs roamed the earth. I do not remember doorbells, so I found that interesting. Yes, that is how we do our job. We go, we talk to people. And in the past, it's been productive. I would argue that the Pentagon and the Trump administration has made a terrible mistake by not having the reporters in there. You can cover a building from outside the building. And look at our Pentagon reporters, our national security reporters. They have just had exclusive after exclusive.
Zach Cohen and I broke the Inspector General report story yesterday. I want to get your feedback before we go. Politico's reporting, or actually it's Der Spiegel is reporting, on a leaked transcript of a call among European leaders talking about how to protect Ukraine. The French President Emmanuel Macron warned, quote, there is a possibility that the U.S. will betray Ukraine on the issue of territory without clarity on security guarantees. Finland's president said, quote, we cannot leave Ukraine and Volodymyr alone with these guys. Quick reactions from you two.
Look, I think it's a huge concern that I think that this administration is, instead of deciding to say, let us help arm Ukraine to allow them to defend themselves, has wanted to carve it up And I think that some of the reporting about the most recent trip to Russia, where it seems like there's a profit incentive that's being offered by the leading negotiators, I think is tragic. I wish they'd be defending Ukraine like actually they did, Jake, in the first Trump administration.
Yeah, well, Vice President Pence was there then.
There were a lot of people.
Different cast of
Secretary
characters
Pompeo was an enormous influence in that. There was a lot of people that were defending it. And, Trump in 2018 would campaign about the fact that we gave Javelin missiles to Ukraine when Obama gave blankets. He did defend Ukraine in the first administration. It's very different this
Very
time.
quick.
Well, I mean, I think this just shows us again that Trump is not this master negotiator and able to bring about peace in a lot of these conflicts around the world like he said he would, much like a lot of the other campaign promises that he can't deliver on.
Thanks to all.